The Guardians did something they haven't done since winning the vaunted Ohio Cup. We'll talk about the Guardians' series win over the Giants, if it was enough, and what they have to do out on the road on the West Coast.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I guess winning the Ohio Cup this year was a curse. I mean, the Reds haven't been any better, but the Guardians...
It's always a curse.
The Guardians haven't won a series since they won the Ohio Cup from the Reds, and I don't care. They still won a trophy this year. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But yeah, they haven't. The Guardians hadn't won a series since they beat.
You heard it here. Justin's all about precipitation. Nope, participation trophies, not precipitation.
I don't want. I mean, precipitation sometimes good. It's not good during baseball season when you're playing at home. No, the Guardians won their first series since then, which is pretty hard to believe because that series against the Reds was before the trade deadline, and they haven't won a series at home, Jeff, since the end of June when they took 2 or 3 from the Mariners, June 27th and 28th. And they still haven't won back-to-back games since July 20th and 21st. So there's that matter to deal with. But look,
they haven't won 2 series in a row since May.
Yeah. The pitching was fantastic this series. You gave up, 3 runs across 3 games in this series, and you won by a total of, 13-3, which is what you should do. Like, if you look at it, big picture, 13-3 against this team, which is over 3 games, and 2 of them are wins, that's good. Obviously, there's the gut punch in the middle of the series. This should have been a sweep. Let's be honest. This should have been a sweep.
Yep. Again,
we talked about it on yesterday's show. I know people didn't like it, but there was a bit of bad timing, bad luck involved, and ironically, they had some better luck. Real quickly, this is Locked On Guardians before we get too deep. We're your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that's covering the team every day from the majors, the minors, the draft, everything in between. We'll get into a couple of those things today. Over there is Jeff Ellis, who hosts your show for 8 years. I'm Justin Lada, and I've been co-hosting with Jeff for the last 4, and we've been covering the Guardians minor league system in the draft for almost 2 decades, Jeff. We are almost 2 decades into that coverage. That's kind of hard to believe. Yeah. But yeah, on today's show, we'll talk about everyone's favorite prospect, Ralphy Velazquez, because there's more questions about it, and there's some interesting examples floating around out there that we're going to dispel. We'll talk about what the Guardians' schedule needs to, or what the Guardians' record needs to look like going forward, what they have to do out west. But yeah, we'll start off today's show talking about the Guardians. 2 out of 3, Gavin Williams. Yeah.
Real quickly, before you do that, just to go back to your previous point, I know people don't like it, but at the same time, in today's game, if you looked at the top expected batting averages, we talked about yesterday how every single one fell in for the Giants, and Cleveland had 4 hits that didn't happen. Today, in a game like this, it was the Giants had 3 expected hits that didn't occur, and Cleveland only had 1. So it does matter. Like, as much as you want to get upset about it, like, you can just see it very simply there and how that works out and how that benefits both teams. They would have definitely had some extra runs if those hits had gone as Data said they should have.
Yeah, they absolutely would have in that game. And we talked about it on Thursday's show that they didn't have Joe Adell. They didn't have Chase Slaughter, 2 of their best hitters against lefties. And maybe it would have mattered. Maybe it wouldn't have because, Tugboat was only in for 3 innings, and then they faced Adrian Hauser. But, the Lauder has been pretty consistent since he came back from the injury. But no, nonetheless, the Guardians hit the ball well against Landon Roop. They drew 4 walks, 3 of them were Stephen Kwan's. Gavin Williams was awesome. He gave up the 1 home run today to Willie Adames, which was a crazy barrel. It did get him back on the board 3-2, but so it was only 2 runs today. So the Giants scored 4 runs in the series. It was 13-4. But hey, that gives the Guardians some chipping away at their run differential, right? When you go +9 in a series. I mean, that's a nice help. But Gavin, 200 strikeouts on the year. He is one of 3 guys in baseball who got there so far. I think there'll be like 7 more, I said, that are going to get there. And I think the graphics said he was like the 3rd fastest Guardians pitcher in history to reach 200 strikeouts. He was behind Corey Kluber and
Bob Feller, maybe.
It was Bob Feller. It might have been someone like that. But yeah, he's the 3rd fastest Guardian to reach 200 strikeouts in a season. This run he's been on, obviously didn't have the great start against the Padres, which, really would have been a better time because, you should be able to breeze through. No, I shouldn't say breeze, but you should be able to do good things against this Giants lineup. They really needed this good start against the Padres. But again, like Meatloaf says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, the only thing I will say
if ain't bad is enough. No, that's fine.
The only thing I'll say I disagree with you is I'll say like they got to Roop in the first, and then I think he didn't give up another hit till like Patrick Bailey's in the third or fourth.
Yeah,
so he did settle in against them. They've actually hit sinkers pretty well this year. It's one of the pitchers they've contrary to what most people think, they've actually hit fastballs pretty well this year as well. It's just they can't hit off speed pitches as a team. The change absolutely eats them alive, which we all know. Anyone who's listens to Tom Hamilton talk, that is like high on the things about this team. But they got on the board early. They had again, Travis Bazzana had a big hit to help them yesterday. They weren't able to have the follow up to get the guys across. Today they were. And then Patrick Bailey, what a game! I know people spent the whole. I saw so many things like if Patrick Bailey doesn't hit 1,000, then they've lost the trade. But it's like, I mean, no Patrick Bailey, they don't win today. It's like he knocked in the third run, and then his hustle was for the fourth run, right? Like where it was a stolen base, and then on the goal, he ran. Was exceptionally executed in that situation. It was a great job with Quan, I believe, there getting the hit, but like again, he ran all the way from second, not what you're expecting on a ball that wasn't the deepest. So big kudos to Bailey in this one. He really had a fantastic game.
He did. And you want to know what too? I bring this up. The Guardians, I don't believe did they make an error at all this series? I know they had the wild pitch, but we determined that that run was going to score anyway for the Giants. And I don't think, obviously there were no real errors to make on Tuesday because they kicked the crap out of Carson Wisenhunt. But I don't think like I can't think back in the series and think, wow, that was a stupid error. That was a real blown, thing. So
no, as opposed to the Giants where it felt like they had 3 a game, you could see why. Like you
could
see why
defense.
They were a bad team.
Yeah, they played good defense on Wednesday. I will say they did that because that was part of some of the like it was it Hanau's line drive was caught.
Yeah, the
Barracuda, and then I think Adames made a great play on Nathaniel Lowe infield.
He made like
grounder.
3 terrible ones today.
Yeah, they had 2 errors today. But I can't think of like anything in this game or this series. And they played pretty well defensively against the Padres as well before this series. So that's it's a couple back-to-back series now. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was the Padres that were just here. That's back-to-back series. So they didn't make any like critical errors. They just had a couple of games where the pitching wasn't great, and they struggled to hit on Wednesday. They struggled to hit, of course, from the Tanner Bibee start of the Padres series. So that's 2 back-to-back series where I don't think they shot themselves in the foot, at least giving up extra bases, extra runs, free outs. That's a good step. I will say, and then the offense 2 out of 3 games in this one. I think you're right. You would have liked to have seen them maybe do more damage, like they had the 3 first inning runs off Roop and he settled in. But they also worked a couple walks later in the game. They only scored the 1 run off of JT Brubaker, the University of Akron.
Former Akron pitcher.
Yeah, got in the game there, so good for him. They had a couple of guys that came home this week. It was you were texting about Turner Hill, who's
had really good numbers in the minors. Yeah, Malone College and Marietta, undrafted free agent, and I don't know if he's going to be anything at all. But great story. Undrafted kid from Ohio, JT Brubaker, the last top 10 pick from Akron before the program was then shuttered and then came back and hasn't been quite the same. Yeah. And Sam Henches has returned. After his multiple really strong years with Cleveland. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of nice under the and then it's for Tugboat coming back as well, and his parents were there for the game.
Yeah, today, a lot of reunions.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Joe Adell pinch hit in this game, which was a little bit bizarre to see. Had two at bats actually for Bazzana. That was a little bizarre because the whole day it was like, oh, Chase Lada might be available off the bench and you won't see Joe Adell, and then Joe Adell pitched it and stayed in the game. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Bailey had a nice day. Halpin had a good hit. Rocchio even had an RBI in this game, so good for Rocchio.
And he had a really nice defensive play. I mean, he does that a lot. Yes, he had a really nice play.
Yeah, the defense. Yeah, the one defensive play I'll remember all year is the Mets one. But other than that, he's been that's like people used to do Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw would have one bad outing a month where he'd get lit up and everyone hated him. And, the 6 other outings he has were really good. And that's unfortunately how it is with Brocchio's defense.
Oh, you mean Matt Festa?
Yes. Well, no, Brian Shaw's better than Matt Festa.
He is. Yeah. I mean, he's the poor man Shaw, but
Shaw,
it is. Yeah. No, agreed. I'm just taunting. I'm just being a yerk. That's all.
Yeah. So Stephen Kwan stayed hot, at least with walks and hits. Yeah. The offense did a lot of good things, 9 hits and 4 walks. So you really like to see that. Hopefully they can carry it into Colorado, who is another terrible pitching staff. Although the one thing the Rockies don't do is they don't issue walks. We're going to talk about the Rockies series, and we're going to talk about what it's going to take for the Guardians to run down a playoff spot this year with the math. We're going to do some math. Look out.
I was juggling a couple different apps the other day, and then I realized to myself, why don't I just use our friends at Clutch Parlays? Because that is their expertise. Instead of going to multiple different apps to check different injuries and betting lines, I can see it all in one with our friends at Clutch Parlays. And a little bit of bonus there is they give you data to back their bets. Maybe you want to do a double for a star player that night. They can give you the percentage of what they hit on for that exact bet. And that's why I love our friends at Clutch Parlays. But here's the offer for you. Find the best line and build smarter parlays. Track every bet and make more informed betting decisions, all with ClutchParlays.com. Right now, Clutch Parlays is offering a great deal for Locked On listeners. Your first month free on a monthly plan. They want to make sure that you get a real chance to try it out and see what it can do for you. Go to ClutchParlays.com today and use code Locked On to claim it. ClutchParlays.com. Bring together live odds, line shopping, predictions, bet tracking, analytics in one place so you can bet with more confidence.
Let's talk about one of the more underrated organs in your body, and that's our liver, right? It's your body's filter. It processes all the stuff we consume throughout the day, performs like 500 functions, right? Involves things like energy production, digestion, metabolism, storing vitamins. Does a lot of work for your body, and that's why giving your liver daily support is an important part of building healthy habits. Dose for your liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement designed to support daily liver function. Unlike other capsules and powders, Dose comes as a liquid 2-ounce daily shot. Tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. I love the taste of that personally. 0 sugar, 0 junk, 0 calories. Very easy addition to your daily routine. Again, I'm trying to be more health conscious. I'm trying to be more careful about what I put in my body each day, and I'm trying to build more healthy habits, and helping out a vital organ for long-term health certainly is something worth looking into. If you're ready to give your liver the support it deserves, head to dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB or enter LockedOnMLB to get 35% of your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB for 35% off your first month subscription. Thanks to everybody who makes Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. If you want a little bit more, some more perks for the show, you get the ad-free version on all your audio platforms with the Everydayer Club. So you can subscribe for that, and you get the private listener Discord that includes other Guardians fans to chat with throughout the day during games, so we can all keep track of what's going on, be frustrated together, be excited together. Yeah, Jeff and I are in there, and of course, there's a Discord channel for every single show Locked On has for the most part. And you also get the insider texting too. So if there's any kind of moves or news or anything we see during games, we also send that right to your phone as well. So check out Locked On Guardians. That's supercast.com. Check the link in your show notes to learn more. So this was a good series overall. I think we've covered that and taking 2 out of 3. I think I've been saying, Jeff, at some point during this stretch, they have to sweep somebody. And they very easily could have swept the Giants. And there's so many games this year that I can think back to and think, man, that's one of those games in like September that you're like, man, I wish they would have won that game. That really hurts. The Mets won where they got, the
that's going to be the one for me. That's just going to be the one for me.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah, there's that. This Giants one for sure is going to be in there. There's a couple that I can go back to as well. Unfortunately, that's just the way the things have gone for the Guardians this year. So I'm not the math expert on the show. We're trying to debate what it's going to take for the Guardians to make the playoffs this year, and I've been on record as saying if they don't win the division, even if the playoffs are, making the playoffs is always fun. That's good. They're going backwards if they don't win the division, and that's still
that's where I disagree with you.
It's still, factually, it is going backwards. Going from winning the division to the wild card is backwards, especially given their record too. Like they are playing worse this year than they did a year ago, despite the fact that on paper they have more talent.
Are they? They have a better runs against than they had this time a year ago. They've had less shutouts than a year ago. The rotation has been better. The offense has been better. They just, right now it's runners in scoring position and bullpen, and the defense is on the same path. They've been less lucky this year than a year ago. But that doesn't necessarily judge their skill level. I think that they're about the same team. But to me, them winning the division last year was unbelievable and ridiculous. And I entered this year thinking that they really didn't have a chance. Now, in fairness, it's because I thought, Detroit was a really tough team. They're going to add Kevin McConnell, who was great, and then Framber, but it didn't, Detroit is kind of the same level as Cleveland. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing the same. The roster, they just haven't had the same results, and that's unfortunately baseball, where there is a high percent of variance in your performance.
Yeah, I guess last year, because they had the 10-game losing streak, I think they packed more bad stuff into a shorter stretch, whereas this year it's been more consistently inconsistent, where they were losing 2 in a row, winning, losing 2 in a row, so they couldn't put a step forward, whereas last year they lost 10 in a row and then whatever, and then they went on that hot stretch. So you think there's a good chance that a team under 500 or even 500 might win that last wild card spot. And I can't disagree. The Guardians, what are they at? They're at 60. They're at 62 wins. So they need 20 more wins to even get to 500. So that means they have to go 20-14 the rest of the way just to get above 500. So they have to go 19-15 to get to 81. That might be enough to get the last wild card spot. I would like to see them get to 84 wins, 85 wins. But that would take, winning 22,
they
23.
Could go 19-15 to get to 500.
Yes, they could. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's. I still think getting to 85 wins would be.
I think 81 is going to get it there. I got to be honest, because if you look at the teams ahead of them, like Toronto, you know what they're at for run differential, -41. The Rangers, -46. Yeah. The Blue Jays, -49. Cleveland's -23 is actually relatively good. The only team below them who's better is the Tigers, are somehow +82, which, is one of the better run differentials. And then Boston and New York are both +90. So it's I don't know. Cleveland's, again, they've had some weird luck and they've had some inability with runners in scoring position. And the bullpen has gotten weird at weird points. But heck, something we didn't even mention. It's didn't Sabrowski pitch? No, was it Heron? No, Sabrowski came in. Was that today? Man, both
days he pitched 2 days in a row. Very good. That's the other interesting thing.
So all of a sudden that changes, that shifts the whole bullpen. If Sabrowski can be like how he was for the first 2 months, even remotely close to that.
Yeah, ironically, the worst pitcher in today's game was for the Guardians was Cade Smith with the 2 walks. He just got to the end there, and for whatever reason, just started walking guys.
He has had some interesting save opportunities, like the 4-out save that they had recently where I kind of was losing my mind. The Mets one. He has not been clean of late. I'm kind of curious to see when his last clean outing was in a save opportunity.
Well, yeah, because he just hasn't had many save opportunities because he's been pitching 1 out and other stuff just to get work because they're either winning by a lot or just not giving him leads.
No in between for them of late.
Yeah, that'll be interesting going into Colorado because Hunter Gaddis has now pitched 2 days in a row. Cade Smith has, Eric Sabrowski. So ironically, your best 3 bullpen pitchers are possibly not going to be available on Friday night in Colorado. Hunter Gaddis only threw 4 pitches on Wednesday, but this team just almost nobody for the most part throws relievers 3 days in a row. So you're going to see Logan Allen and Matt Festa and Craig Yoho and Tim Herron and
Yoho's had
Colin
2
Holderman.
Good ones in a row.
Yoho?
Didn't he have 2 good ones in a row for him as well? So I'm just
he did. So did Heron. Yeah.
So here, I'm trying to find some positives. I'm trying to push forward,
Well, they just won a series. That's the positive.
Yeah.
And their pitching was great. Overall in the series, the pitching was just fine. The bullpen having a bullpen because obviously this team I think is going to have ups and downs offensively. Like I think that's just where it's going to be the rest of the year. You're going to get some 100%. Games like that. So this bullpen does need to get back to what it was. Again, you're never going to get that 2024 stretch again, but the bullpen was good last year down the stretch too. So if they're going to win anywhere between 20 and I'm going to say 20 to 23 games in the last 34, which is, a pace they haven't played at all year, then the bullpen's going to have to be lights out. So we'll look a little more at the Rockies series, what's ahead for them. And we're also going to talk about Ralphy Velazquez because everyone's talking about him. And there's some interesting things that have come up around baseball that I'll be honest, I didn't expect. And we will compare those to their situations. Before we get on with today's show, time for the Everyday Icon. It's presented by Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Stance knows that greatness is not built in a single moment. It is earned over time through consistency, preparation, showing up every day. And each week, we're recognizing one player whose performance embodies those same qualities. And of course, this week, you have to think about Gavin Williams, right? He just eclipsed the 200 strikeout mark on Thursday with his great game. He's one of 3 pitchers in Major League Baseball with 200 strikeouts this year. There will be at least, I would say, 7 more than that. So it's a good group to be a part of, and he's obviously had a great season at this point. Got my socks right here. These things are very comfortable, very color matching here too, and give me a lot of support. The Everyday Icon is presented by Stance. Check out the Icon collection from Stance. Premium comfort, performance, durability, design for every day brings. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Learn more at stance.com. And you already know I've got a big sweet tooth, no question about it. My wife definitely knows. And it's tough to find that right treat without all the sugar. The Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shot has the kind of flavor I like. It's nostalgic, and it's in a whole new way now because Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. Quick way to satisfy that sweet craving. I'll keep things simple and on the go. 0 sugar treat that is sweet tooth approved. Definitely like the flavor there. And I want something that's sweet without going overboard. It's not going to make me feel guilty. I'm not going to crash. I need a lot of energy to keep up 2 jobs. It's going to need a lot of energy to watch the Guardians on the West Coast this week. So might be a go-to. Get candy flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. By now, you knew the deal. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button on YouTube. Smash that like button and hit the bell to get notified of when our episodes go live, reaction videos, news, all that good stuff. And then auto-download your favorite audio platforms. We are free everywhere you get podcasts every single day. And keeps the show in your feed, supports the show as well. All right, so we did the math a little bit. We talked about the bullpen. This weekend in Colorado is going to be a very interesting one. The Rockies are not a good team. They're certainly better than they have been. They're moving in a better direction, I think.
They have a few interesting hitters. And I know everyone will say Moniak, but I actually think it's guys like Karros, the secondary guys that might be more interesting than their
looks like Karros must be hurt. Karros must be hurt because Kyle Karros has a concussion, so that's the guy they're going to miss. They're going to miss. Yeah, they're going to miss Hunter Goodman, who's out with a shoulder injury. They're going to miss old friend Tyler Freeman, who's had back issues.
That hurts them not getting to face Freeman with his production, but
Chris Bryant, is not really part of the team anymore. He's with the degenerative back issue. I think Cole Carrig is the most interesting player on their team personally. Like he's a switch hitter who plays great defense in center field. And this is going to be an interesting series just because you don't know. Joe Adell's already not a great defender. I know we talked about it before. He's made those home run robberies. That's great. He makes those plays sometimes, but he also misreads a lot of fly balls as we've seen. And a lot of people will point to home runs, and you got Tanner pitching in Colorado. He's got a lot of home runs this year given up. But really the biggest thing in Colorado is, you're pitching in the elevation, but also their outfield is huge. They have a a lot of ground to cover in the outfield out there. So probably most likely, like the Lauder didn't play on Thursday. I would guess that there's a good chance he's going to DH a lot this weekend if he's available, which if he's not available, like, what are you doing? Because we're getting close to that 10-day mark. And it's like, if you can't use him in Colorado, you're having a thin bench and you could have somebody else up here. But like, you're going to need Kwan and Halpin and Martinez out there. And just for defensive purposes anyway, hopefully they can score enough runs in general. But yeah, this Rockies lineup, they'll be able to hit because it is Colorado. Like, Jake McCarthy's hit well in Colorado since he's got there. Mickey Moniak hits well against Colorado or in Colorado, not away from it. Cole Carrick's been good. TJ Rumfield's been interesting. Their lineup is interesting. The thing is, the Guardians are facing some pretty bad pitching. Like, Tanner Gordon doesn't walk guys, and Gabriel Hughes doesn't walk guys. Sagano doesn't walk guys. So they might not be able to, fall back on drawing walks. They're going to have to actually hit the ball. The good news is those guys are hittable. Sagano has a splitter, which is really tough, but his fastballs all get, beaten around. So they got to hunt the fastball with him. And their bullpen is weird, but yeah, the Rockies won't be pushovers. The Rockies also have Mark Manfredi, by the way, who is a Mayfield, Ohio native and a Dayton alum. So more cool Ohio stuff ties there. Their bullpen's not bad. So I think you got to sweep this team. I got to be honest. I know you're saying like 2 out of 3, just keep winning series. That's fine. I don't know what kind of shape the Angels in, because I haven't looked that far ahead. I know they're
not good. They have the worst record in baseball for a reason.
Yeah. So actually the Athletics have the worst record in baseball now.
Oh, they finally passed them. Well, they're number 2.
The Athletics are very, very bad. So maybe the Angels is the one to sweep, win the series regardless. Like, it'd be nice for them to like just go out and take the first 2 games of the series and then see what happens on Sunday. You got Tanner Bybee, Joey Cantillo, Foster Griffin. And the good thing is the Rockies stink against lefties. So Foster Griffin also has a high home run rate too, which that could scare me a little bit.
Yeah. It is a team you're going to throw 2 out of 3 lefties against them, right? And they are the second worst team in baseball against left-hand pitching, with only Toronto being worse. And they're doing that while also simultaneously having the highest BABIP in baseball against lefties. So they've been incredibly lucky this year against lefties to be 20% below league average and to be the second worst team. As you said, I think the 2 things is Karros and Goodman. And I think arguably with Moniak, those have been their top 3 hitters this year, and you're not facing 2 of them. And the third, Moniak, doesn't hit lefties. So that's set you up in a nice situation. I really like TJ Rumfeld. He's a fascinating character as well on that team. They do have some offensive pieces, but as you said, the pitching's a mess, the bullpen's a mess. But I'm gonna disagree. For me, it's always got to take 2 out of 3 because, again, baseball is weird. It's the only sport really where a worse team can beat a better team on any given day. Like, I know they talk about any given day in football, but I was a Browns fan.
Any given Sunday, great
any
movie.
Given Sunday. I do love that movie. Agreed. But it's a situation where, I mean, I saw the Browns be just absolutely terrible and couldn't beat anyone multiple times. So I don't think that's really true. I don't think the expression holds. But in baseball, yeah, a guy can just have it on that right day. Yeah. And, it was the character in that Kevin Costner movie that people like, where everything breaks right to get his perfect game. I'm sure someone's screaming.
For love of the game. Yeah, I love that movie.
So that's one where, it's like everything works out great because what he's going through his memories. I can't remember the exact specific of how it works. But either way, it's like baseball's a weird game. 2 out of 3. Just keep taking 2 out of 3. And if they take 2 out of 3 and then they take 2 out of 3 from the Angels, I'm going to say this now. If they can take 2 out of 3 in their next 2 series, I bet they are they're top of that third wild card heap.
Probably. You're probably right. I mean, if you go 4-2 in a 6-game stretch, that would put them at 66 and 68. They'd still be below 500 if they go 4-2 out west. But there's a good chance. I'm sorry, no, 4 games, 66 and 68. They'd still be below 500 if they go 4-2 on this West Coast trip. But there's a chance that puts them up in the final wild card spot too. I think I would like to at least sweep one of these series. Like, you go 5-1 out there, it just feels a little bit better, and you inch a little bit closer. You come home, you still have some bad teams to face. I mean, what after that? You got KC, who's not doing great, but you got Toronto, who, like, I know Toronto's not great, but they're also fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And so are the
They
Tigers.
played better of late.
Yeah. The nice thing is you will have a chance, like you're going to play the Blue Jays, you're going to play the Orioles and the Tigers, and you got one more series, the Twins, and they're all packed in the same last wild card area. So you're going to have a chance to like do some damage, either get some separation or they're going to separate against you. So that might be that's why you want to go out and win 5 of 6 on this road trip, because give yourself a little bit of wiggle room when you face these teams who, again, also are middling, but are also fighting for a playoff spot, despite how bad the American League is this year. All right, we got a couple minutes left in today's show because we had a lot of lovely sponsors. So Ralphy Velazquez hit 2 more. This is Jeff's favorite subject, by the way. 2 more home runs on Thursday, and I got a lot of messages about, what he's doing, and he's figured it out and all this stuff. And look, you and I are both very high on Ralphy Velazquez. I know you spent a whole segment of a show 2 weeks ago on this. The numbers against breaking stuff is not good.
It's the only reason not good. It's terrible. He's a pitcher against breaking stuff and against off-speed offerings this year.
Yeah,
140 batting average and a 189 average.
He's Pedro Serrano, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Straight ball, I hit very much. Curve ball, not so much. The only reason I bring this back up is because I saw an interesting tweet or post today about, Kate Anderson got called up by the Mariners, who obviously was a draft pick last year. So he's nowhere near the 40-man deadline here. And then the Twins, they called up Kalen Culpepper. The Tigers called up Max Clark. The White Sox called up Hagen Smith. The Yankees called up George Lombard. All those guys are not anywhere near Rule 5 status yet. And they all each have their different reasons to be doing this. The Tigers one, I don't know, I guess, Clark, whatever. They were out of it when they traded Derek Skubal and they went on a run, and they're back.
We're going to have to add him in the offseason to the 40-man anyways, weren't they? I'm pretty sure he was a guy they were going to have to add either way.
No, he was a 2023 pick, wasn't he?
He was the Wyatt Langford class. That's a bit ago.
22?
But it's 23, 24, 25, 26. I guess he would have been... Okay,
you
so
get 5 years of high school.
One more year.
Yeah, Hagen Smith was not due. George Lombard, the Yankees had a need there.
Yeah, and the Twins had a massive need. Ryan Crater has played their most games at shortstop, and he's been a good defender, but he's been awful offensively.
Yeah, so the question really is, do the Guardians have room for Ralphy Velazquez? If you told me, bring him up instead of David Fry for Hoskins going on the IL, you're fine, whatever. I'd be fine with that. At the same time, the reason David Fry is back is not so much for his bat. He's back because he's on the 40, but also he plays the outfield.
Flexibility.
And he could catch if they need. Yeah, whereas Ralphie, yes, he's played some outfield, but I don't think you're certainly not taking him to Coors Field and putting him in the outfield. There are still some issues with breaking stuff. Obviously, some big issues there. I just thought it was interesting to talk about with those moves that have happened around baseball. And then I saw someone too say it'd be great to see someone who could hit fastballs. The Guardians hit fastballs just fine. The Guardians are basically a top 10 team against fastballs. They are top 5 when it comes to slugging percentage. They're top 7 when it comes to weighted on base average. That's all fastballs, 4-seam sinkers, cutters. They've done a lot of good work against fastballs this year. Changeups are the real problem. They are basically one of the worst teams in baseball hitting changeups. They are bottom of the league in average. They're bottom of the league in slugging. They're bottom of the league in weighted on base average. Changeups absolutely could befuddle them. And Ralphie doesn't hit changeups. We've seen that so far. So yeah, he's hitting a lot of these home runs. They were both against fastballs today, and that's great. And I still think long term Ralphie is going to be a great player. The data is what it is, and I still don't see a fit because I know, again, I thought it was interesting because a lot of other people seem to be noticing this whole, teams won't bring up prospects because of the 40-man because of lockout, the impending lockout, which I agree with. And there are teams obviously, made some moves that were against that, but I still don't see how Ralphie fits there.
Yeah, I think, with Culpepper, he had a big record at AAA. You had, a few other players. I think Hagen Smith was just a situation where, his star has fallen quite a bit. So they're like, hey, go ahead. I mean, they didn't even bring him up as a starter. So I think those situations, there was a logic. And Ralphie, if he could hit something, if it wasn't the fact that he's batting 190 against breaking balls and 130 against off-speed pitches, I'd feel better. But the problem is in the big leagues, you're not seeing fastballs as much as you get to see in the minors. And then the quality of off speed and the quality of fastball is much improved. Pitching in the minors is just terrible. I just feel like you're not setting him up to be successful, not to mention the whole, if you add him now, guess what? He doesn't get to take part in spring training. He doesn't get to take part in any of that stuff that, he's going to lose a ton of coaching to go and be kind of on his own.
See, that part of it is secondary to me. It's not great, but I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. I think the issue is that right now he's not equipped to hit major league off.
I think it is when he doesn't have a set system, when you're not a major leaguer who's built up and know where to go and has approaches to it. He's still a young kid who's sometimes those kids go home in the off season. We saw kind of the last lockout. It was not good for the younger players. They didn't have the setup to go to, but we can debate that again. I want to thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. We will cover this series. And give us your favorite obscure Rocky and Guardian. For me, it's always going to be Corrigan, the announcer, who was the announcer of my youth.
Josh Bard.
I'll be listening for him. Thank you all, and go Guardians, go.